Gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker for the evening, Claudia Brett. Claudia
Hello.
is a menopause and health promotion coach and founder of Menopause and More. Claudia worked for many years in the insurance industry as a medical underwriter and then completed a qualification in health and social care, followed by a bachelor's degree in health promotion with BSc honors. Fueled by the realization of the limited guidance accessible to women in menopause, she founded Menopause and More. Claudia aids women in their decision-making and consults with employers to establish menopause-friendly workplaces. Claudia is a member of the British, German, and Swiss Menopause Society. She will be speaking to us today about the importance of knowledge and a supportive environment in the workplace. Thank you, Claudia, and it's over to you.
I'm Claudia Brett. Thank you, Ronelle and Michal, for giving me this opportunity to speak here, founder of Menopause and More. Menopause is generally an umbrella term that we use for the peri- and post-menopausal phase. It's mostly a natural process which marks the end of the reproductive years for women with the reduction of the hormones, mainly estrogen and progesterone. The average for women is around 51 years, 1 year after the last menstruation, and this marks the time when the woman becomes postmenopausal. Most symptoms occur during the years of perimenopause, and the effects are far more than just for the physical health. It's very individual, and the symptoms can occur at different times for different strengths. Women experience them very differently. And some are very happy about the end of their reproductive time, and others grieving that process as well. So that also has an impact on the symptoms. So let's set the scene a little bit. And we've heard already some of those figures. Women are more than 50% of the population, and women make up 26% of all female in the world, according to the World Health Organization, and that number is growing. And the UK employment rate for women aged 50 to 64 increased about 25% since 1992, where it was 46%, and now it's 67%. In 2020, it even reached 69%. Women live longer, on average 83 years. The work and pension age is rising, and the time when women can actually access their pension is often now 67 years. So if we think about that, women, as I say here later, enter the perimenopausal phase between 40 and 45. We're talking 20 plus years that women are in employment. And therefore, it is significant for employers to really recognize that and do something about it. Women do enjoy work, and they really want to work. The financial pressure for women is relatively high now. The cost of living is increasing worldwide, and it's really important that women do stay in the workplace. At the moment, we do sometimes still say women feel at this age that they are in a sandwich generation. We call it like that because on one hand, women might still have young children or teenagers to look after and also care for elderly relatives and also have their profession and their other life to deal with at the same time. Lots of responsibilities at the same time. According to the medicals, the women normally enter the perimenopausal phase at the age of 45. However, many women experience symptoms much earlier than that, sometimes from the age of 40, and even 1 in 100 feels that she's perimenopausal or menopausal under the age of 40, which is very significant and definitely requires also medical attention. Sometimes women enter menopause right away as a consequence of a surgical or medical procedure, which is very traumatic for some women. We also have to include trans people and non-binary people with hormonal needs who also show symptoms. Generally, women have 75% of women have symptoms. Not all of those symptoms affect the workplace, and women deal with it generally quite well. However, 25% find that these symptoms are very, very debilitating. And it actually leads to 1 in 4 considering either leaving the workplace or maybe not taking the promotion that they have been offered recently. In the UK, Cooper made a survey in 2020 where it showed that 1 million women had already left the workspace. So I really think that menopause does affect work, and work also affects how women live the menopause. For women, it's not only a physical, but it's also the mental symptoms that affect her in the work. We had mentioned earlier, lack of sleep over a longer time really leads to a lower concentration. It increases stress, and it leads to a lack of performance. For some women, for example, heavy bleeding and bladder dysfunction is not only very costly to them, but it's also very embarrassing if the workplace is not equipped for those symptoms. Brain fog, forgetfulness, word-finding problems lead to a reduced confidence and self-worth, with anxiety over their performance, and they're starting to worry. We already said that it leads to a lot of time off. 31%, according to the UK Equality Committee, have actually addressed that they have a day off due to their menopausal symptoms. And the work influences the symptoms because there is not enough support and there's not enough understanding in the workplace. Sometimes the work environment might be difficult. It might be male dominant, or the pressure at work is really high. The language being used is not the right language. And especially for women under the age of 40, I want to point out that it's very stressful if they suffer from menopause, or if they suffer from any of the other conditions that are more or less a taboo subject still in the workplace, such as endometriosis. And we know from that condition, endometriosis is often worsened by stress, and therefore that doesn't really support the situation at all. Some women, when we look about the field of work or the tasks they are doing, one example would be that women might not want to travel as much as they used to if they, for example, work in a service field and they have to drive to clients. If they suffer from hot flushes, they might not have the ability to change in new clothing, or they feel very anxious when they arrive because they're very self-confident at that time, or they feel nervous about going on the tube because they can't face being on the tube in the morning. Sometimes meetings can bring up panic attacks or palpitations for women because all of a sudden they go blank when they enter a meeting, even though they have prepared fully for it. And the climate also has an effect. I mean, we've all been saying how much hotter the world has become, and offices, schools, factories, agriculture are all places where women do suffer more as a result of the heat that we cannot control. And yes, it's good in some places that we do have air condition. However, it's not so good for some of the symptoms, such as dry eyes and dry skin, and also not good for the environment. So what we want to do is we want to bring knowledge and support together to create solutions. And what does it mean for employers? Well, employers have a general duty of care to their employees and can help improve the health of menopausal women significantly, with the benefit for their company as well. So by doing that, in terms of awareness talks, training, workshops for managers and staff, regular reviews of the workplace, and what I call a Meno aid. We mentioned it earlier already. Some places have like a mental health aid in place now, a Meno aid, considering how many women are in work and the average age that they are in work and the growing community. It would be very helpful to have this in place as well. There are always small, reasonable adjustments that can be done, such as workstations adjustments and uniform. If a uniform is worn, make it a breathable material, or offer pieces to change, few more blouses or so on. And in terms of water fountains, shower facilities, and clean and well-stocked toilets, that might be, almost standard for some of us, but it definitely is not standard for all of us. And therefore, it's quite important to highlight that as well and to look at it if in a specific workplace. Nice would be a well-being program offered by employers that's, includes mindfulness or after-work activities and access to healthcare. For employers, that would be a benefit for the company is to retain that female talent, because we are very resilient and we can deal with things. It's always more costly for employers to replace a woman rather than support. And the recruitment costs in the UK are around about £30,000. So you can work out for yourself how much better it is to support women. Women welcome guidelines at the point of entry, because if they see that an employer has a maternity policy in place and a menopause policy, they feel that their employer is really taking care of them and wants to lead them through their career, which is very helpful. And it improves the culture, reduces stigma, and makes menopause a more unremarkable conversation all around, really. For women, it means that with the education, knowledge, and improvement that they're receiving in general and through their employer, they feel much more seen and appreciated at their work. They feel assured, the anxiety is reduced, and they feel real equity in the workplace. On the other hand, I think this knowledge and support really encourages women to assess and take agency for their own health. It is their own choice to see whether they would like to go a natural route with sport, nutrition, lifestyle changes, or down the medical route, or a combination of both. Altogether, it's a very good time to just reflect and reevaluate the situation. It's a good time to really listen and be kind to yourself, because sometimes with this help, it offers really new opportunities and gives courage to get the promotion that you always wanted, or to seek opportunities within the company and feel that you can be loyal to your employer. So I really say that life is not over by a long shot when you reach menopause. So embrace it. Thank you very much.